With the Oscar nominations released, I thought I would just watch all of the best pictures and make a video on each one of them. Of course, because there aren't 10 weeks for me to review them all, I'll talk about some of the films that came out closer to the end of the year. So no Everything Everywhere All at Once, no Top Gun, and no Elvis for now. I hope you enjoy this mini adventure with me. So I just finished the Banshees of Inisherin, and I absolutely loved it. This is definitely a film that I would watch again. Let me first say that Colin Farrell's performance in this film is a show stealer. Absolutely wonderful. He really pilots his character with excellency, and in a film that doesn't have a lot of major action, I guess you could say, it's really more of a character study. Colin knocks it out of the park. Banshees is a dark comedy that shows what loneliness can do to a person or a group of people. Spoiler warning, of course. At first, the story is about a friendship that has fallen apart. We don't actually learn the reason why that is, which gives a lot of tension to the film. It's only released when you realize how stupid of a reason it is. Without the dialogue in the film, it would have crashed and burned. The plot is so simple yet relatable and understandable, but I think the dialogue in this just makes it so real. It's not this modern day, let's say Marvel writing, for a lack of a better terms. I assume you all understand what that means.
Race of noble warriors.
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
It is a real conversation. You have people who start to talk, somebody interrupts, stops, and they're like, oh, what? It feels real. It feels like I'm watching an actual conversation. And I think the dialogue was just wonderful for creating that sense of realness. Personally, this film really takes off at the end. Loneliness is explored throughout the entire movie, but only in the final 30 minutes do we see it pay off. Colin Farrell's character has just been told that his sister is leaving the remote island of Inisherin. Of course, this is after the whole movie of his best friend essentially ghosting him and his nice guy persona just wilting away. With his sister gone, Colin's little pony, who has been one of his only friends, is killed accidentally by the very man who ruined their friendship. The two friends are even more divided, and this results in Farrell's character Padraic burning down his ex-friend Colm's house. It's funny to watch in the movie because he's just so blunt about it. He's like, look, I'm coming to your house tomorrow at 2 or whatever, and I'm going to burn it down. You can either be inside of it or you don't. I don't really care. I'm doing it. It's interesting because Padraic loses everything, and in return, he takes from those who stood by him. There's a little local boy, teen, young adult named Dominic who lives in the village. He kind of comes around when Padraic really feels lonely, and it's because Dominic's lonely, really. Dominic doesn't really have many friends. His father's abusive and all these things, right? And so Dominic sees that Padraic is in deep turmoil and he tries to help him. But at one of the scenes where Padraic and Dominic are talking to each other, Dominic really sees Padraic for the person that he is and says,
I used to think you were the nicest of them. Turns out you're just the same as them.
Colm also loses everything. First he loses a friend, and then he loses his only sense of joy, which is music. Interestingly, by being so stubborn towards Padraic, he ends up cutting off his own fingers, which destroys his ability to play the violin and compose music, so he has a legacy for people to remember, which is a big part of the film. Colm seems to not enjoy Padraic's company, one, because he's so boring, and two, because Colin wants to have this legacy similar to Mozart, and he wants to be remembered. But by creating this divide amongst his friends and setting this extremely weird parameter that if Padraic talks to Colin, that Colin will cut off a finger, it puts in the back of your mind that he really is just a messed up character who doesn't seem to care about others. When the whole reason he stopped the friendship was to gain a legacy, turns out the lack of the friendship is honestly what really hurt him. Padraic's sister is also lonely and depressed, tending to Padraic's needs rather than living her own life. She's able to free herself from the boring life that she lives by following the invitation from the mainland's island library. The only thing in the film that brought her joy was reading, and unlike Colin, who ruined his joy by chopping off his fingers, and Padraic, who ruined his joy by being persistent in fixing the issue, she is able to actually leave and continue her joy. I really love this film for its storytelling and dialogue, and I believe it is one of the best of the year. I'm going to rate it a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Peace.